Fulfillment is service and reward. Productive services serve and rewards others and self and others. You're not going to have fulfillment if you're doing services and not getting rewards. And you're not going to have fulfillment if you're getting rewards and don't get services. Anybody done a service to somebody and didn't feel like you really served them as much as you liked and they paid you and you feel like it wasn't fair? I'd rather give them more time or pay some of them back than have an incomplete fair exchange. Does that make sense? I've done that. I've said, look, I don't feel like we've accomplished what we want to do in our hour. I'm going to add another 15 or 20 minutes until I feel like we've got an accomplishment of your time. I like to have a clear consciousness. I like to feel that I've made a difference and I've got fair reward. How many of you know exactly what I'm talking about? Try to find that balance. There's more meaning in life that way. Rockefeller says, my ideas of management are no doubt old-fashioned, but the fundamental principles do not change from generation to generation. And sometimes I think that our quick-witted American businessmen and women whose spirit and energy are so splendid do not always sufficiently study the real underlying foundations of business management. I'm always amazed how there's a new management systems, new this, new that. No, there isn't. There's nothing new in business, really. There's a human being with a need. There's a human being with a service. If they don't meet, there's no business. All the technologies and all the fancy spins and all the little vehicles of marketing still boil down to that thing. That's what doesn't change. That's the key element. And whether we're basically using an internet to sell, or somebody personally out there, or television or whatever, it's still bottom line is you got to produce something that meets a person's needs. And you got to deliver it in their language, which means you got to meet their values. Henry Ford said the only history that is worth tinkering a tinker dam is the history we make today. So tell me if it's not true. I don't know about you, but I have a desire to change history, make a difference in history. Anybody have any desire to make a difference in history? Change the course of history. So write that down right now. I intend to change the course of history. I think I can do it. Write that down next to it. I think I can fucking do it. Be brutally honest with yourself. See your business through your customers, constituents, congruents, clients, or customers' eyes. Specialty. What is your specialty or an area of expertise? And how broad can you enlarge it? Quickly answer that. What is your specialty or area of expertise? And how broad can you enlarge in it? Mine's human behavior. I can use it in almost every area of life. That way I get to speak to almost every imaginable group. The larger your specialty is, the more general it appears to the mass majority. The more you specialize in broad universal laws, the more generalist people think you are. But national presidents, although special as a career, are generalist. As an entrepreneur working for yourself, you move toward the general. Entrepreneurs generally perceive themselves to be more challenged than supported when they're younger, and therefore they become entrepreneurs. But they start out general, and then they eventually delegate things away until they're very specialist again, aren't they? When I first started my practice, I did everything. By the time I was done with my practice, I did one thing, really one, maybe two things. That was speaking and inspiring new patients to come and adjusting only the ones that I wanted to work on. I delegated all the rest of the others. So I took on mainly the celebrities and the leaders and the people that I wanted to work on, and that was the only people I actually adjusted. The rest of them I was out speaking and generating patients. So I did the two things that were most significant to me. I trained and delegated everything else. As an entrepreneur working for others, you move towards the special. Entrepreneurs generally perceive themselves to be more supported than challenged when younger. They are special generalists that get paid more than general specialists. Each individual culture is to differentiate, specialize in order to evolve. Each individual culture is to specialize in a unique competitive advantage, export or import. This is called Ricardo's Law of Competitive Advantage. What does that mean? You want to find out what you're doing the best at that nobody can compete with you on. Find out what you're best at. About a quarter of the population fall prey to the volunteer's folly, where they end up doing various self-devaluating jobs. It's wiser in most cases to work a little harder or longer at what you love, are masterful at, and are inspired by, and you have enough additional income to donate to other specialists earning less, more suited to the cause or task. Does altruistic selfishness actually exist? No. There are underlying, often unconscious motives or hidden agendas, even shame, compensation, feel-goods involved. Don't do desperate things. When I first got into practice, I did a little everything. I did reports. I did urine analysis. I did blood analysis. I did x-rays. I did exams. I did reports. I did all kinds of things. Then I finally sat down and did that exercise where what does it produce per hour? What is the replacement cost? What is the meaning? And what is the time spent? And when I finally did that, because of the Time Trap book by Locke McKenzie, I learned from it. I went through there and I went, shit, there's only two things that really produce the most, and that's me going out and generating new patients and then adjusting patients. Everything else needs to be delegated. So I gradually hired people and took it off my plate. My business made the most money. Just to focus your business attention and attention, at least initially or possibly on the long term, within your area of circle of core competence. Inside the circle of core competence, your knowledge, understanding, and intuition is strong. Outside, it's weak. Know the perimeter of your aptitude and competence. Consider expanding into unknown territory only if it's truly known. Know your limitations. Don't go outside your box. Making money often means finding an application of what someone else has developed. Sometimes you're developing your own ideas. Sometimes you're utilizing other ideas. Quickly write down what's the top strength and the top weakness you have in your business, you as a person. And then on the strength, what do you intend to do to make sure it stabilizes that strength and grows that strength? And the weakness is, what are you going to do and who are you going to have to help you compensate for that weakness? So who will help you strengthen your greatest strength, and who will help you compensate for your greatest weakness? So take your asset strength. Okay, so let's say my greatest asset strength, number one, might be presenting. Second to researching. My greatest weakness, managing time. As far as my speaking, I just go on and on. Weakness may be taking care of managing the people. So that's not something I do because I'm traveling all the time. I can't manage an office traveling all the time. So I now go, so in my strengths, how do I make sure that I do that? I hire people to help me get my research more efficiently and help me teach. Teams to help me on the teaching process. Then over here, my management, I got to hire people to help me manage. So I got to make sure I've got somebody in place that takes care of all the management and all that stuff, so I don't have to be distracted by that. So I need to hire somebody. So who? So what is the strength that I have, and how do I capitalize on that and make it better? And the liabilities, my weaknesses, and how do I make sure that that's compensated for, taken care of? Could be strengths that you as a person, this is you. This is for the entrepreneur. But it could apply to the business too. On 704, there's another little form that's called the opportunities and threats balancing form. You want to ask yourself, if an opportunity comes along, how do you maximally capitalize on it? And if a threat, a big challenge to your company comes, how do I capitalize on it? How do I make money out of it? If you never ask the question, how do I take and make money out of a challenge, you might be surprised, because most people just jump to, how do I afford to do my challenge, instead of how do I make money out of my challenge? So take a big opportunity, how do you capitalize on it? Take one threat, how do you capitalize on it? In my practice, I noticed that doctors kept wanting to visit my practice and see what I was doing, so I started charging them $1,000 a day to watch. We'd have sometimes 3 or 4 people there every day, so I was getting paid. I paid my salaries by having the people watch me. It was quite humorous. And then I thought, I'll take it a step further. I had the people watch me. I said, you know, if you watch me, you're not going to learn as much as if you do it. They go, well, that makes sense. I said, so you're going to work for me and pay me $1,000 a day. And they did. They lined up for that because they wanted to know what it was like to run a larger practice. And so they pay $1,000 to actually watch and actually do it. So I started organizing all the departments, and they would actually spend 2 hours in that department, 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 and get to experience what it's like to actually do it. So it's not just observing it, you actually do it. And they were grateful because what they got out of it made them way more than $1,000. Does that make any sense? So I figured out how to take a challenge because they were starting to distract me in the office, watching and doing and asking me questions, and I need to be focused on my patient. So I turned it into an opportunity. The challenge became now capitalized. For your business to flourish, it will also be required to develop a revenue stream providing a product or service that your customers will buy. Your business will therefore be required to do the following 3 things. You'll need to have a product or service that meets the specific need of a customer, such as they'll buy it. And if you don't have a buyer and you don't have a demand, something's fucking wrong. And if you think they're stupid, well, they're fucking stupid. They should just know how important my product is. That's you stupid, not knowing how important their needs are. Provide a product or service better than a competitor. So your business will be chosen, and charge a price that offers a value to the customer that enables a business to earn a profit. When you take, I'll give you an example, and some of you have different feelings about it, I'm sure, but if you take out all the cost of this room, take all the cost of the marketing, cost of all the seminars,